Today, I am going to whisk you all back to 2017, where Link Monsters were just released in the TCG, and Japan has announced a new side set called Link Vrains Pack. It would include cards like Cleafor Genius, Modolce Fresh Sistart, which I can never pronounce without feel like I'm having a aneurysm, but here we are. Heavy Metal Foes, Electromite, and many more. This set would turn into a series of subsets, but stopped at 3. So what is it about this set in particular? Some of the Link monsters released in this set were the most broken pieces of support in the game. Just from this first set, we have Curious the Lightsworn Dimion, Isolde, Two Tales of the Noble Knights, Heavy Metal Foes, Electromite, and Crystron Halqifibrax. And the common denominator between these 4 cards is that they're all currently on the ban list. Not only that, but cards like Heretic Seals of the Heavenly Spheres and Cherubini, Ebon Angel of the Burning Abyss are being used to this day in decks like D-Link and Tearlaments. Electromite was banned for pretty much being able to search out any Pendulum monster. What players would do would send Astrograph Sorcerer to the extra deck with Electromite. Then they would pop another Pendulum monster in the Pendulum Scale to add the Astrograph Sorcerer back to the hand. Then Astrograph Sorcerer would activate the effect to summon itself and add a card that was just destroyed, while also triggering Electromite effect to draw you 1 more card. Isolde was banned for being able to search out a warrior monster from the deck and then summoning up another one by sending equipped cards equal to the level of that monster you were trying to summon. One of those cards was Phoenix Blade, which helped warrior decks even more by banishing 2 warrior monsters from the graveyard to add the Phoenix Blade back to the hand. One of the best ways to go into Isolde was to summon Neospace Connector to summon out a Neospatian Aquadolphin, and then use that effect to either rip a hand trap out of your opponent's hand or gain hand knowledge. Then you go into Isolde with those 2 cards, and you go full combo from there. This was a part of the Goki strategy, which was the first and I think the only deck that really utilized the U-Link strategy back in Master Rule 4. What this deck would end on was a bunch of Nightmare monsters U-Link to each other, and you with a Nightmare Ibly, which locked you from special summoning except for Link monsters. And with your opponent occupying both extra monster zones without a Link monster pointing to one of your zones, you were just locked out of special summoning. The only way you were outing that board was to draw Raw Sphere mode and hope your opponent didn't use Gomblar Dragon to rip it out of your hand for that turn. It was also part of the Infernoble strategy when it was introduced in 2020, all the way until it was banned earlier this year. Crystron Halqifibrax was the centerpiece for synchro-based combos. All you needed was 2 monsters including a tuner. Let's say Jet Synchron, which you can use to go into a Link Revo. Then you'd bring the Jet Synchron back by discarding a card out of your hand and then going to Halqifibrax from there. Then you would use Halqifibrax to bring out Mecha Phantom Beast O-Lion. Then you would link away Halqifibrax for Link Cross and summon 2 tokens. Then you would synchro off the O-Lion and one of those tokens for Metal Marcher. And then you would use O-Lion to summon another token. Then from there you would do a whole bunch of synchro summoning shenanigans to end on a board of at least a Herald of the Arclight and your choice of Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon or Burlode Savage Dragon. Halqifibrax alone was responsible for the banning of O-Lion and Jet Synchron and a whole bunch of other tuners until finally they banned Fibrax itself and brought back the tuners. And final one we're going to talk about from this first set is Curious, which was banned for being able to send any card from the deck to the graveyard while also milling 3 more cards when you did so. How players were using Curious was they would send any floodgates from the deck to the graveyard. Let's say Imperial Order for an example. After that, they would use Curious and any other monster they control to go into Nightmare Griffin. And then they would use Nightmare Griffin to set that Imperial Order that they just sent to the graveyard, and then just flip it up on their opponent's turn. As a bonus effect, Griffin was also a floodgate, where special summoned monsters could not activate their effects unless they were linked. So Curious basically gave access to 2 floodgates, on top of being able to set up the graveyard. Not only that, but Tearlaments also used this card for both the Foolish and the Mill effect, which the deck needed to get their fusion effects off in the graveyard before Curious was banned. The second set in the series doesn't currently have cards on the ban list, but it did for a small while. Phantom Knights of Rusty Bardic would spend some time on the ban list because of Orcust, and also goes on record to be one of the fastest cards ever to be banned. This set also saw cards like Trap Trick Sarah, and Dragoonity Knight Romulus, and Scrap Wyvern. Rusty was banned for giving Orcust access to 2 Fogblades, and 2 removals, effectively, whenever a Dark Xyz monster was special summoned to a zone it points to. For example, Dingirsu, which can be special summoned by banishing a Symbol Skeleton on your opponent's turn. Eventually, the speed of the game and the banning of Harp Horror made it so that it was not an issue, and Rusty could be released from the ban list. And even Harp Horror was released from the ban list just a few years later. In the third set, we still have some banned cards. This set saw Union Carrier and Predaplant, Verte, Anaconda. But that's not all! It also included Simorg, Bird of Sovereignty, Mecha, Phantom Beast, Auroradon, Sky Striker Ace, Zeke, Selene, Queen of the Master Magicians, and Artifact Dagda. So I talked about in one of my previous videos that Union Carrier was supposed to be support for ABCs, but with the way that it's worded, it also became support for Dragon Link. What it did was it could equip a Dragon Buster Destruction Sword to any dragon, locking the opponent out of their extra deck. But then Dragon Buster was banned, which led to Adamantipator also using Union Carrier to equip Block Dragon to any rock monster. And when Block Dragon went to the graveyard, you could add 3 monsters whose sums equaled up to level 8. And which, by coincidence, 3 monsters of the Adamancer archetype, the Tuners, all equal up to 8. You have 2 level 2s and 1 level 4. Needless to say, Union Carrier was banned in the TCG, and as much as a ABC player like me would like to see it unbanned, it will never see the light of day again without an errata. Even more still, in the OCG where it is still legal, I think at least, I think it's still legal in the OCG, Drytron players were using it to equip a Vanity's Ruler with B-Buster Drake. They did that so that Vanity's Ruler would be unaffected by cards like Forbidden Droplets and Dark Ruler No More. So Predaplant, Verte, Anaconda was originally not an auto-include in every single deck that could make it. There were some talks about Predaplant getting a slight boost, but that was about it. But then, a very powerful fusion monster was announced for the OCG, Red Eye's Dark Dragoon. When it was released here in the TCG, it wasn't as big as a threat that it was made out to be, but being able to copy Red Eye's fusion to end on a Omni-Negate after you've gone into full combo already was still very good. The downside was you had to run 2 bricks and 1 copy of Red Eye's fusion. Red Eye's fusion's effect made it so that you could only summon the fusion monster for that turn. So if you ever drew into it, you had to make a decision whether to go into Red Eye's Dark Dragoon or go full combo. But in Burst of Destiny, another very powerful fusion monster was released. Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. So the new target for Verte Anaconda was Fusion Destiny. The benefit of Fusion Destiny was it didn't lock you out of summoning for that turn, for the most part. The turn you activate Fusion Destiny, you could only summon Dark Hero monsters for the rest of the turn. And that was a very important distinction between the two Fusion cards. So, you can run 3 copies of Fusion Destiny and not worry about drawing into it. Either you go into Verte and go into DPE at the end of your combo, or if you hard draw it, you go into for your full combo anyways and end your turn by using Fusion Destiny. Either way, the combo was very strong, and Konami made the decision to ban Verte Anaconda. Last card I wanted to mention from this pack was Simorg. What this does is it summons a winged beast during the end phase from your hand or deck, whose level is equal or less than the amount of unused spell and trap card zones. What made it more problematic was it couldn't be targeted, along with the monsters it points to. So what would happen was that players would summon a barrier statue of Stormwinds during the end phase to a zone it points to. And there was nothing you could do about it. You can't use Infinite Impermanence, you can't use Chalice, you can't do anything. You're just screwed. Just to illustrate how broken this series was, there are currently 18 Link monsters on the ban list. 8 of them are from this series. That's just shy of half the list. The last part of this series of side sets was Link Vrains 3, which was released in November of 2019. I really don't want them to make more of these because of how broken some of the support was and just the general impact of the game it had. Just, let's not do that anymore, Konami. But let me know what your thoughts are down below, and thank you for watching. My name is Vincent, and I am the Race Duelist. Goodbye.